Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, depending on where you're listening from, and welcome to another episode of the Resume Whisperer and Corporate Culturist. I'm your host, Joseph STETTER. I've been trying to spend a lot of time to connect the dot that the more you're different, the better it will be, the more successful you'll be. And so from the individual perspective, stand out and do things that others people don't. It will get you hired faster. From a business perspective, it's about creating a culture that people that work there are excited about, and that creates a culture that people are excited to buy from. And so part of that in both aspects is the ability to tell your story. And given the explosion of the digital media and explorer, what better way to do it than through video? I'm very excited because today's guest, Lefteris Koutinas, I hope I pronounced that correctly, is known to his peers as Lefty, is a Toronto-based award-winning documentary filmmaker with a knack for transforming business owners into industry celebrities. Specializing in true story adaptation, he creates unforgettable narratives that not only entertain, but also educate and inspire, right? And we're going to talk a lot about that. With a style reminiscent of A24's boundary-pushing films, Lefteris turns the mundane into the extraordinary. His projects aren't for the faint of heart. They're for the daring, the disruptive, and those who refuse to blend in with the crowd. Leveraging Hollywood-grade visuals and cinematic approach, Lefteris helps celebrity-driven entrepreneurs build powerful, personal brands that resonate long after the screen fades to black. He's on a mission to tell over 1,000 stories and make Lefteris Koutinas a household name in the world of documentary filmmaking. When he's not behind the camera, Lefteris is on YouTube, sharing his journey and helping entrepreneurs become the cool kid with everyone that they want to sit with. If you're ready to break the mold and demand attention, Lefteris is your guy. Let's welcome Lefteris to the show, otherwise known as Lefty.
Hello.
Hello, and thank you very much for being here. So I want to start by asking a little bit about what got you into this industry, or kind of what inspired you to be a documentary filmmaker and then kind of video producer, content creator for, individuals and companies.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit of a, it's funny because a bit of a loaded question due to so much that happened in my backstory. I pretty much was born into a family of entrepreneurs that dominated radio and television broadcasting. They were doing that pretty much between the 1970s and the early 2000s. And then, other cultures came to Canada and they pretty much started taking over those industries. But during the early 2000s, I also started high school, and I too, growing up, wanted to be that cool kid, right? So I don't know if I was really gonna do it through video at that time, and even being on radio. Truthfully, during that time, the whole radio and video thing were still kind of like, they were left to the nerds or the geeks of that time, right? And and that kind of wasn't the path that I was going for. So that's kind of when I fell in love with music, and music was actually what taught me to build a personal brand and to build a brand in general. Because when I got into DJing, and then from DJing I became a music producer, and I was touring the world. I was kind of playing shows left, right, and center, both locally, both just outside of Toronto and other provinces, the United States, and of course Europe. I'd be on set for 3, 4, 5, sometimes 8 hours at a time. And, you have to be able to learn how to communicate with an audience without even saying a single word. Uh, that's that's a little tough to do because, you're constantly watching for how people react, and how you bring in one song and take out another, and the transitions and so on and so forth. You really get to learn body language at that point. And then, I realized that I wasn't going to do that forever. I didn't want to be that. I don't know. I always looked at, even when I went to like weddings, for example, and I see like the 60-year-old guys that are still DJing, and I'm like, oh man, come on, like just quit while you're ahead, right? And it's bad enough that we're not even talking weddings now. We're talking like club DJs and festival DJs. Like, I don't want to see a 60-year-old guy behind the decks, right?
Absolutely. I want to ask something, because you said something
Yeah.
that intrigued me, because you're the first person that said music taught
Okay.
me how, kind of like, because I know a lot of people, when they talk music, when you see like the talent shows, talk about music to help them deal with issues. Music help them kind of identify who they are because the words in the song meant something. But how did music teach you to tell a story? I would love for you to expand on that, because it's such a unique perspective. In the sense that, like, I understand body language because as part of what I do, I teach it in an interview, what to say, what to do, how to behave it. But how did music kind of inspire that creative and that understanding of telling the story for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So the one thing that I used to do was I used to manipulate heartbeats, right? So I would play, depending on the length of time that I would be behind the decks. I would start at a certain BPM, and then I knew how to elevate those heart rates and bring them up to a certain point. And then I also knew what resting heart rates were. So how to bring that back down when I got you to a point where, I know that you needed rest. Now, playing house music and producing house music, there's not a lot of words in that niche, right? In that genre. So I used to kind of build and curate sets around melodies and bass lines, and even how, like, elements like snares and hi-hats would pretty much, play their role in that song. And I would find similarities within that to pretty much go and transition from song to song. I would find other songs that did have vocals and lyrics, and find similar words within music to kind of bring you on this like melodic journey. And that's kind of how that was the first time I really learned how to tell a story, and how to tell a story through music, to manipulate the body to do what I wanted to do. Um, Now, I haven't I haven't performed in like almost 10 years, so I don't know how good of a storyteller with music I would be now. But
But
it's like riding a bike for sure.
look, it's fascinating because, obviously I never thought about it this way, because yes, like I used to be an avid salsa dancer, and, you know, I never really paid attention to what playlist the DJ made. I was like, I'm just here to dance and enjoy myself. But I totally get, you do a few faster songs like salsa, and then you're like, okay, let's slow it down a little bit. Let's do some bachata, let everybody kind of get their
Yeah.
breath and so forth. So I get that because I've been in the dancing world, prior to having two beautiful, amazing kids. So I totally get what you're
Nice.
saying. And that's awesome, because you know what? It's such a simple but true connection that, in fact, today, several times I said to people, you can watch a YouTube video about traveling to, let's say, the Sistine Chapel or Vatican City, but it's very different to watch a YouTube video than to actually experience it.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things that a YouTube video cannot do justice to your experience of it, for example.
Yeah.
So I love that connection. So what was the turning point to kind of go, let's get into video and filmmaking for you?
Well, being in my early 20s and my older 20s, I still think I'm unstoppable at this point in my life. And the truth is, I never really made anything a problem, but there is a dark side to the music industry. And when I realized that, I was starting to wean a little more than I would have liked to towards that darker side of the industry, I kind of knew at that point, like, something's got to change. Like, I can't do that forever. And at the time, I was also ready to get into like a more serious relationship. I wanted to get married, start the whole family life. And then I happened to just find my girlfriend, who is, my wife now of, I think 7 years, 6 or 7 years now. Honey, I'm sorry if I never remember. Um, but yeah, it's at that point, I just kind of knew, like, I wanted to be home more. I didn't want to be coming home at 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, sometimes I would like leave at night and I'd come home at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon because my sets were in the morning. And it's like, I don't want to be, I didn't want to live that life. But I knew that I still needed to be creative. So the transition happened really, really interesting. It happened in a funny way because as I was becoming more popular as a DJ and as a music producer, and I was, getting all these shows booked for myself, I too needed a press kit, right? Now, those who might not know what a press kit is, it's pretty much a folder with your discography, your photos, your videos, your biography, like anything that you would any asset that you would need a manager to help sell you to a promoter to get a club gig. And I was pretty much on photo shoots and video shoots, like almost on a weekly, uh, definitely at least a minimum of 3 times a month. So one thing I love the most is like getting my assets back, because my photographer and my filmmaker at the time, he knew how to capture me in a way that I would never have even seen me in that light. And I think that's what drew me to pick up my first camera, is because, you know, growing up in elementary school, I was not popular. I was bullied. I was, for lack of a better term, like the loser. And it wasn't until like high school or mid high school is when I really started, breaking out of my shell and making friends. And then it wasn't until I became like a DJ and touring in my early 20s where like I really became more popular. So I think, a lot of us have insecurities. A lot of us, kind of go through these moments of not feeling like we're the best in ourselves. And I did it because I want to be able to showcase somebody in a light that they've probably never seen themselves before. And I think that's a really beautiful thing.
I love that. And, I like the fact that, you bring up the importance of the human experience, that, we're not perfect. We all have our moments, our doubts. We all have this. And, my conversations focus on the world of getting hired or hiring. And so I speak to individuals that are like, you know what, I've been rejected like 20 times in a row, or I sent out 50 resumes, nobody responded to me. Like, how do you stay motivated? And again, I make those connections. Like, as a salesperson, you're told that you need 7 to 12 no's before it counts as a no. And
Right.
so every time someone says no, great, I'm closer to a yes, and I switch my mindset to be like that. So Leftis, we lost you on camera, so I don't know if anything happened. Maybe we lost connection, so we'll be right back. But for now, I'll just kind of keep on with the idea that you have to understand it's okay if you failed. If you pick yourself up and you find a way to reinvent yourself, that is so powerful. That is a story that you can tell both as an individual and a business owner that will allow you to create off camera. Maybe. Sorry, 1 second. Lefty has having a few technical difficulty. So, that will be what will define you. That's what's going to make you a great leader. One of my favorite books on leadership is called The Radical Leap by Steve Farber. And I've spoken about this in previous episodes, but he basically defines a leader as LEAP, or the acronym LEAP, which stands for love, energy, audacity, and proof. If you cultivate love, you'll generate energy, you'll inspire audacity, and the proof will be in the pudding. And then, similar to what Lefty said, is that the difference between a leader and what he calls in the book a radical leader is OS exclamation M, which means oh shit moments. And sometimes it's those downs, it's that failure, it's those experiences that challenged you more than you thought possible, right? And again, it's a model of you overcame. You have a story to tell, okay? And Lefty is just having a few technical difficulties. He'll be right back. But I want to make sure that you understand, Lefty started by being socially awkward, became the cool kid through music. And how many people, music is their outlet? For me, before having two amazing, beautiful kids, my outlet was salsa dancing. Now it's how much they make me laugh every single day. And I'm thankful for that so much. But there's a level where because of that, we all have our path. And that's perfectly okay. Your job is to kind of go, here's why my path makes me better and different than everybody else. Here's what I do that's unique, because so that's where it is. So Lefty, you're back. Awesome. Excellent.
Sorry about that.
Awesome. It's okay. I made sure that we were transitioning. So you kind of left the music industry. You're now kind of decided, I want to do video. Tell us about your most unique experience as a video documentary maker, and why was it such a memorable experience for you?
I think it's what led to the blow up after my first client. So I always knew my worth in one way or another, right? So I wasn't charging for photos at the beginning of my career because obviously, like, I still need to learn. I wasn't going to give you, I sure as hell was not going to give you the best product that you can get. But I used to always just be like, hey, if we're going to meet downtown, like, you got to get me lunch. You got to pay for my parking, like that kind of stuff. Right. So I remember doing LinkedIn headshots was the first client I ever got. We're talking now 2016. And what ended up happening was not even a week after I delivered the photos, I got like an influx of messages in my inbox, but it wasn't for headshots. It was for lingerie photos, swimwear, nudes, implied nudes. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is going on? Right. And they're asking me, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? And, I'm at a crossroads right now because one, I'm a new photographer and I need clients. Number two, I'm a new photographer, so I can do whatever I want, but do I necessarily need these clients? And I'm just thinking, and I sat back and I was like, oh, you know what? I could really use the money. Screw it. I'm just going to take it. And I was like, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. Yes, 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 yes. I had no idea what I was doing. So right away, I'm just like, I start going on Pinterest. I start doing like searching
So
Google
in essence, you were
images.
doing research for Borat the movie. If right,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
male song with
that's it, right? That's it. I mean, you know, count my blessings that all the clients were women, not men. But regardless of that, I had no idea what I was doing, but I just said yes. I said, yes, I'm going to figure it out. I figured, you know what? If I'm going to throw myself into something, I'm just going to like throw myself at the wolves and see what happens. They're either going to rip me to pieces or they're going to love the product at the end.
I just want to stop you for 1 second because I think
Yeah.
you said something vital here that most people hesitate on. And that is when they try something new, whether it's a promotion in their current kind of career path or a completely different career, there's always that innate fear of I'm going to fail in the background.
Right.
But having that leap of faith of I'll figure it out and I'll do it is what gets you success. And I want
Right.
to emphasize that because, I want to tie it in because it's not just you going, okay, let's try this, because obviously there's different rules for a LinkedIn professional shot versus I want to do a nude shot kind of thing, and a very different energy to that as well.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to make that connection.
No,
Go
no,
ahead, it's all
absolutely.
yours.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, what people find really surprising, is that if I didn't do that type of work, which, we could talk about at a later time or whatever, but it did get me on billboards downtown Toronto. It did get me on front covers of magazines. Like I put my heart and soul into like doing the best boudoir style photography I could ever give somebody. But what it taught me was trust to the highest degree and patience. And I think that's a lot. Those are two things that I feel like a lot of people don't have. They're just so rushed to get the sale, get the lead, get the booked call, that they definitely forget trust and patience. And it's kind of funny in a way, because I want to say, like, if I had to put a number on it, 97% of my clients till this day, maybe even 99% of my clients till this day, are women. And I have to thank the boudoir side of me that was able to bring me to a point in which I can be as relatable as I possibly can be, to show women that they can trust me with their brands.
So here's the thing, and I love what you just said here. The trust is something that, because of, let's say, this explosion of AI, and I use this in quotation because not everybody's using it correctly.
Yeah.
We've lost that, and we've lost that in so many ways that, like, if I have a problem with my phone, I don't want a chat bot to try and solve it for me. I want a human being. I want that kind of connection, because I don't want to explain 7 times if I can go, this is not working, and someone can address it, for example. So this is where I think some of the conversation is there. So you had this, unique experience that has still to this day helped you. And I admire and respect how you look at it from building that conversation and having that conversation. Now, you said in your bio, the goal is to help over 1,000 people, kind of thing. So how many kind of documentaries have you produced? And, again, along those lines, which one was one that challenged you the most and why?
Yeah, great question. So I think the beauty about what I do, and probably what many people do, um, I can do it till my deathbed comes, whatever that age may be. Do I necessarily want to? Probably not. But I love filmmaking so much that if I had to do it up until that time, I would. Now, documentaries are not something that is delivered overnight. A lot of people really want, again, fast, quick, instant gratification. I like to call documentaries um, delayed gratification, and I know that sounds really cringy to somebody that is like, I need to make 5K or 10K in 90 days, right? But you got to look at it as an asset that's going to pay you over the course of time, right? Because something that doesn't change is your story. You're going to tell your story at 80. Whatever happened to you at 30 is still going to be relevant at 80. You cannot tell a different story. You cannot change the story. Whatever happened happened. And that's the relevance of documentaries. But a lot of people don't see the benefit in that delayed gratification. They want the Instagram reel that's trendy, that's gonna be delivered into their inbox in the next 3 days, and it's gonna just be forgotten the moment they post it. Why people want that, I have no idea. But if you, it's to quote Vin Diesel from Fast and the Furious, if you're going to treat your business like you're going to live 1/4 mile at a time, you're never going to get very far. Like you're just going to keep like chasing the rat race.
Look, and here's what I'm going to say, and I love the tying that you just made me into kind of Vin Diesel and so forth, because we've become a society that, we don't have patience for anything. That level of service where somebody goes the extra mile that, Napoleon Hill talks about in Think and Grow Rich, for example, that we've lost that as an art. And, it's something that I'm very hard trying to educate both businesses and individuals, because there are a lot of things that people are like, hey, I'm looking for a job. I want a job tomorrow. I'm like, okay, is your resume highlighting how good you are? Right? Is it showing the results you produced, or is it telling me that you know something? Right? And so there's also a level where I think, and this ties in directly, because companies are going, well, attention span is only 90 seconds, so I only want something that's 90 seconds. And the other problem is that you have an explosion of kind of, forgive me for using it this way, self-proclaimed gurus that kind of say, yeah, buy my formula and I'll make you a millionaire in 90, 120 days and so forth. Like, right. Yes, there are. And again, there are certain things that work more, and there are certain things that you need to understand will not work more. And I can tell you that myself, I've paid 5 different marketing firms money, and with 0 results, because they just wanted to cut and paste what they do for every other client and say, here you go, here's the formula. And I'm like, but you haven't really understood why I do it differently than others, why I purposely challenge the norm, right? Even when I do recruiting, I first thing say, most resumes are awful kind of thing. So I get that. We have about 10 minutes. Tell us a little bit about kind of what projects you're working on right now, and if people want to use you to tell their story, what's the best way of getting a hold of you, and a little bit about your process to help them understand how to show up.
Yeah, absolutely. So first and foremost, let's touch back on the point that you made about attention spans. Streaming platforms have proven us otherwise. It's not that we have short attention spans, it's that your content is boring and it sucks. Plain and simple, end of story. Um, Netflix actually shows that you will sit and watch an episode after episode after episode, and you will sit there and binge a 10-hour series over watching a 2-hour feature film, which means that it's not that we don't have an attention span problem, because that's not true. It's people are trying to do cookie cutter BS videos that are boring and nobody wants to watch. Um, so that's first and foremost. But projects that I'm currently working on. Oh man, I got a lot of things. I actually started with my screenplay writer. We are in the process of building the Leftyverse. So for anybody that's a Marvel fan out there, what is the Leftyverse? Well, we decided to stop doing the standalone projects and find intricacies within each of our projects to tie them into the next one. So if you watch one film of ours, you're going to be able to watch the next one, and they're all going to tie in, and characters are either related to each other or whatever the case might be. And that's kind of like a new approach that we're doing. It's a lot. Um, I currently just wrapped up a short film, which is a sequel to a 12 episodic series that's going to be releasing on my YouTube channel as well, along with that short film sequel. Hopefully you guys get that before the end of the year. Otherwise, it's going to be a 2025 release. At the same time, I'm also working on a documentary with a high profile entrepreneur who's in real estate. He's in project development, and I think the most exciting thing that I'm doing for him is this Saturday we are on a film set in which I have hired actors to recreate a couple scenes of his life, just because he doesn't have footage of the things that he mentioned while we interviewed him. So that's going to be really cool. Give a little bit more of a cinematic experience, because I like to go that extra mile, right? Like nobody wants to just watch stock footage. It's kind of stale. So I like to really immerse people into that person's world when I am creating. Um, and for the first time ever, it's not the first time, because I do travel to see clients. It does not matter where you are in the world. I can go anywhere in Canada, anywhere in the US, Europe, Australia, whatever, you name it. Um, but instead of actually traveling to go see a client, for this project in particular, he's actually bringing me to his hometown, which I also get to experience Egypt for the first time. So I'm going to be going with him in the end of October for 1 week to get even more footage for his film. And in 2025, I'm also working on a episodic series, which is a murder mystery for a streaming platform where it is fully interactive, and you, the audience, actually gets to be the detectives and solve the case. And if I'm not mistaken, if you solve it before all episodes come out, you have an opportunity to win a massive cash prize. So that is pretty much all the projects that I'm involved in at the moment. I think that personal branding should be accessible to everybody, and we should be able to help each other out whenever we can and however we can. And that is what my YouTube channel is about: helping entrepreneurs build their personal brands and do the very best that they can to be celebrities in their industries, until they realize that they cannot do it by themselves anymore. And that's when they hire somebody like me. So I'm also on a 10,000 subscriber journey, where I'm looking to grow and build the audience, because the more people that see me, the more information I can give out, and the better I can help. And of course, it costs you nothing, and the people that end up paying me are the advertisers, which is YouTube. So why not learn and watch and binge videos at somebody else's expense? So that's the method to my madness, is leveraging somebody else's pockets to get what you want out of life. um so yeah, subscribe to the channel. There is a membership area there where you could join. It's really low fee. It's $14.99, uh even cheaper if you are in the US. But yeah, that membership area is, I put in a bunch of thought leadership prompts where I get to help you guys think more experience and story driven base, where we go deeper into the brands, and I give that to everybody once a month. And of course, I ask questions on a deeper level there. If it comes down to wanting to work with me, very simple: www.yourlegacyfilmmaker.com. Scroll through, look at the testimonials, read the FAQ section, and fill out an application.
Excellent, excellent information. I think that you're absolutely right that when things are done correctly, people will pay attention to it. You know, and there's a level where how you present the information is so important. You know, I did a webinar yesterday, and every single person was like, "Thank you. You gave me hope. You allowed me to see things differently. That, let's say, I never thought I could do this for a job. You know, like I told people, go on Meetup. That's a great way to network for your industry, especially if you're a gamer, especially if you're some of that,
Yeah.
because there's often meetups for that. You know, Eventbrite, where it's, you know, free events, Zoom calls that you're speaking to the right people.
Yeah.
And, you know, part of what I do is extract their story in a resume, in a LinkedIn profile. But, you know, the connection that, you know, you need to build that brand with video, you know, I've hired individuals like yourself. I know you're friends with Jim, that he's done some of my videos for me. And, you know, the insights he gave me on the audio quality, the light on my head, reflecting on my big forehead here, and things like that. And even just kind of the energy that I had when I did some of the videos was so important to me. And, you know, this is where I said, you know, AI can give you what's standard, but can never
Yeah.
separate you for it. So awesome. Any final thoughts to wrap up in the last kind of minute, 2 minutes for you, Lefty?
Honestly, I don't think there's anything I can really jam pack in a minute. I can talk for hours, to be honest. I would just say follow or subscribe to the YouTube channel, and all the information is there. I put out videos on a weekly. If by any chance I get pulled away because I'm on set directing a project, I mean, I have over 200 videos that you can just go back and watch. Documentaries, learning about personal branding, learning about how to write better stories, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I plan on just doubling down on that content in the fall.
Awesome. Again, there you have it. I hope you've gotten a lot of value, that, you know what, difficult experiences are a great way to learn. You know,
Yes.
being different and unique and choosing your own lane, whether it's an individual or a company, will get you results. And collaborating with people that might have a different perspective because they're not attached to your story, but they really want to highlight your greatness, is something that I've been speaking about for the past 3 months. Whether it's a mentor, whether it's a partner, whether it's a joint venture, get people that can support you to level up.
Yeah. And to
That's
actually add on that point, sorry,
that's okay.
I do have a final remark. Because you mentioned gurus earlier, so like just for a quick moment, a lot of gurus will always like to use the word "you're not there yet" or "you're not ready yet." I hate when I hear this, because I hear it in my discovery calls all the time. Oh, my coach tells me I'm not ready for that. I'm not there yet. When it comes to telling your story is however old you are in the making. So it's ready. Nobody can tell you how to show up. Now, if your guru or your coach or your mentor is shooting everything on an iPhone, which there's nothing wrong with that, but you feel like you want a higher level of production for your brand, don't let their jealousy cloud your judgment on what you want. Because if they wanted to hire that big film team, they would have done it too. So there is no such thing as being ready. You are ready. Your story has been ready. It's been in the making. And if you think you have a boring story, believe me or some other creative director will be able to pull it out of you and find that diamond in the rough. So get out there. And if you're not going to do it for your business, honestly, do it for your family. Because when we're not here anymore and we're gone, the first thing that people are going to want to run to is a photo or a video just to see your face and hear your voice. So just do that.
Amen. Thank you for that. And there you have it, because, again, I do it with resumes, I do it with LinkedIn profiles, I do it with organizations that want to build a lasting culture and attract the right candidates to them. And so there's different ways of getting there, right?
Yeah.
And there's different ways of connecting the dot. I hope to the listeners you've enjoyed this episode. You've gotten something out of it. You've learned something. If you enjoyed the episode, as Lefteris said, please like and subscribe. And as always, thank you for listening. I hope you have a great night, a beautiful morning, and an amazing afternoon. My name is Joseph Stetter, and I'm the Resume Whisperer and Corporate Culturist. Good night, everyone.